Good morning. I always have to do it twice. Good morning.
Good morning.
That's a little more energy. Yes. My name is Dwight Fish, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this congregation. Welcome to you all. The Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Elkhart is a welcoming community encouraging religious freedom, nurturing individual spiritual and ethical growth, celebrating diversity, and promoting a just and sustainable world. If you would like to learn more about this fellowship, please look at our website at uufe.org and join us after the service for our coffee hour through the art gallery into the gathering space. For the listening enjoyment of all, we ask that at this time you please turn off your cell phones. And if you need hearing support, please ask for it at the sound desk here in the back. Our fine sound technicians will give you those things, right? Got them back there? Super duper. Oh, Mary's got hers. Okay. Sorry, I can't see it. What's that? All right. That was supposed to be funny, but very few people laugh.
It wasn't very funny.
Ask me to do this again. What's that? Oh, the announcements. Are you impatient today, Chuck? No. Okay. So, this is our fellowship life. A memorial service for Charlie Buzzard is planned for Saturday, August 19th, 10 a.m. in the sanctuary right here, and weather permitting with time in the memorial garden afterward. We will celebrate his life and his memorial garden fence that he built, which is right out here, outside the window. More information is in the weekly emails and the focus. For those of you with interest in serving on social justice or stewardship, please contact the appropriate individuals. And let's see, where's our stewardship folks? Hand up. Okay. And social justice, Ken Claiborne. If you're interested in serving on stewardship this year, please contact any of the board members. I'm one of them, and let's see. Everybody who's on the board, put your hand up. There we go. Very good. A couple more announcements. This afternoon from 12 to 3 at the Central Green, there will be a gay pride celebration here in Elkhart. And we're a welcoming community for the LGBTQ folks. Also, on August 20th, Oksana and I are going to be celebrating our 30th anniversary. And we're going to be celebrating with a great big cake. So after potluck or during potluck, we'll be having a cake face contest. And all right, well, all right, I'm going to stop harping on here. And you were listening, finally listening. Bless you all, and thank you for being with us.
Our chalice lighting this morning is a meditation by Paul Stephen Dodenhoff. So if you will gently close your eyes and listen as Anna plays under the meditation, and then it will be closed with the gong. For this 1 hour, Spirit of life, we let go. For this 1 hour, may we let go of our anxieties, our fears, our anger, our self-doubts, our regrets, our petty grievances, and our distractions. If only for this 1 hour, let the flame of this chalice burn them from our hearts and minds and light our way to peace and serenity for this one holy hour. Please join me in speaking our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another. This is our covenant. And now we have a musing from Mary Perrin.
Good morning, everyone. When I was 10 years old, my parents bought their first house, and it came with an upright piano. So I loved music, and I took lessons for 3 years with 3 different nuns, and all I accomplished was my fingers tripping over each other, and I never went past the first grade level. While my kids were growing up, they used to sing Happy Birthday out of tune so that I would fit in. So I couldn't play the piano and I couldn't sing. Or at least I told myself it was so I could fit in. Maybe they were really making fun of me, I don't know. When my eldest son, Ron, was in high school, he immediately joined a rock and roll band which practiced at our house every day after school. And I would arrive home from work, my house would be rocking on the foundation, and I would walk in and yell, "Band practice is over now." He's 65 now, and he plays in a Beatles tribute band in Denver. It's called Rubber Souls, S-O-U-L-S. And they recently played with the Denver the Denver Pops Orchestra at the downtown Presbyterian Church. One of the things that I got out of my first marriage was an appreciation of jazz and classical music from the man I was married to. And after we separated, my daughter and I cruised Main Street. Anybody remember cruising Main Street? I think it was Saturday night. I had a tape of my husband playing Rachmaninoff's symphony, sprinkled with oh shits every time he made a mistake, and it was on full blast. When I went home with my kids every year to Massachusetts, my dad had taken up loving opera, and he listened to the opera every Saturday afternoon. And I do that now on WSND. And I also have a grandson, Joe, that majored in music in college, and he did his graduate work in opera, and I went to an opera up in Chicago to listen to him. I've always loved Anna Hagen's music. I think that she should play in every restaurant in the area that plays loud music. Thank you.
Our loose offering today will be shared with Woodlawn Nature Center, just a block away. And if you need any more information about Woodlawn, ask Carl. He's the president. Our offering words were written by Arthur Foote II. Freely have we received of gifts that minister to our needs of body and spirit. Gladly we bring to our church and its wide concerns a portion of this beauty. The offering will now be received. It is my incredible joy and privilege to introduce to you Anna Hagen from Goshen, Indiana. And she's going to tell you a lot more. And she's going to play like the angel you've been hearing so far.
Thank you, Janelle. Good morning, church. It is such an honor to be invited to play here. Thank you very much, Janelle, and thank you to my friend Deb Parcell. We're in symphony together. So as you've heard, my name is Anna Hagen, and I am your harpist for today. And it's such a beautiful space that we have come in. I feel like with all of this wood around us, we have wandered into a garden. So I'm going to play you a favorite hymn I put on my first CD, I Come to the Garden Alone. Now, I'm a professional harpist in this area. I play all around for events, for weddings, for churches, for special occasions, but I play a lot in care facilities. So in a lot of therapy settings and memory care units. And I discovered when I played songs, especially for memory care, people who could not tell me their name could sing every word to Amazing Grace. And this was one of the favorite hymns that I've discovered, especially in this area. I Come to the Garden Alone was a favorite hymn. So enjoy I Come to the Garden. Thank you. Thank you. I Come to the Garden Alone. So I took the title from my first CD from the chorus of that song, The Joy We Share, from this idea of the joy of sharing music. And my CDs will be available in the lobby after. Step right up, ladies and gentlemen. But when I started, I had no idea that I would be playing in public, let alone have made 3 CDs and be playing for you this morning. I was 8 when I came to my parents and said, Mom, Dad, I want to play the harp. And they went, take piano lessons. So I had to play piano for a year before they believed that I was serious about anything as big as a harp. So after a year, okay, Mom, okay, Dad, you didn't have to nag me about piano. Can I have a harp now? And I have been playing ever since. When people hear this story, there are usually a couple of questions they ask, like, why? What made you want to play the harp when you were 8 years old? I knew I would play it in heaven. I thought I'd better get an early start. I don't remember what clicked in my 8-year-old head that this was the thing. But this was the thing. I would not stop talking about it. And as soon as I had my hands on strings, well, we took off from there. Now, I studied harp here in Elkhart with Mrs. Suzanne David. She was the harp professor for Notre Dame. And I took private lessons with her. And I was raised to be a classical harpist. Bach and Beethoven and Bach and Mozart and Bach and Bach and Bach and Bach, 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 Bach. I love Bach, I do. So I'm going to play you a wonderful classical piece. This is a little bit of my own arrangement of Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring by Johann Sebastian Bach. Jazz hands. I'm a big fan of this. My father tells the story of when he was in Europe with his college choir. He toured Europe. They weren't technically allowed to clap in church. That wasn't allowed. So everyone would stomp their feet or shuffle or do something else to applaud. So that was my classical background, and I loved playing classical music. But when I was about 14 and 15, I started playing for events, like I mentioned. And you've met a little bit of me. Let me introduce you to the harp. So I have several different harps. This is Jocelyn. Jocelyn, meet everyone. Everyone, meet Jocelyn. She's one of 7. I have 7 harps. That was never intentional. I just sort of collected them. Because every harp has a slightly different setting or purpose. This harp, for those of you who are musical, this harp is kind of like the white keys on a piano. So this is middle C, and this is your basic C scale. And that is a great place to start. But it's kind of hard to play anything more complicated than. With just a C scale. So I have to find a way to get all of the other notes. And on this harp, I have a series of pedals around the bottom. So those pedals connect to springs and rods and moving parts, a whole bunch of unseen hidden bits inside the neck. So I press a pedal with my foot, and it changes the tone of the note. there are 1,500 moving parts in this harp, connecting those pedals at the bottom to those strings at the top. And it means that I have to play with both feet and both hands independently all the time. But it is worth it, because when I have a pedal harp, I can get sounds like... Or I can do more wild things. So when I started playing for events, people besides my teacher, people who weren't my teacher wanted to hear, songs they recognized and not just Bach. So I would have people request that I play Louis Armstrong and Elvis, and I had to learn to play all of these different styles of music. So I'm going to play you a beautiful African-American spiritual that uses some of the blues and jazz qualities that are the foundations of jazz. And you can hear in it these sliding tones that I get by using the pedals. This is "I Want Jesus to Walk With Me All Along Life's Pilgrim Journey." Thank you. So that is a really fun way to walk up and down the scale, to walk with my harp. But as I played, all of my friends who had played like guitar or violin, they could get up and wander around, and I was always stuck with this piece of furniture. So I bought a small harp, only about yay big, that I wear on a strap like you wear a guitar, so I can literally walk around while I play. And I take that harp into a lot of care situations where people can't come out to events, can't come out to hear a concert or an activity, to ventilator units where people are in bed on ventilators. And I can bring the harp, I can literally walk to them. And that is an incredible privilege and one of my favorite ways to walk. So when I would go and play for people when I'm like out from behind the music stand and the lights and actually interacting next to a bedside. Like I said, people would ask for songs. And I would go, I'll come back next week. And I would go home and learn the song and come back and play it for them. And that's how I started playing popular music. So now I play almost any genre, not just classical and jazz, but rock and roll and popular music and country music if people ask for it. And when I play for programs, I always try and bring in some of these samples of different genres, not just because it's really fun to show off that a harp can do just about anything, but because it represents something about those desires of our hearts. I played for a country church far south of here for a Sunday evening program, and I asked the gentleman who was hosting, can I play a little bit of rock and roll from the stage? He said, as long as it's the rock of ages. So I want to say, I did get special permission today to play rock. I asked Janelle ahead of time. But even if it's a genre that maybe you don't listen to or maybe don't enjoy listening to, I want you to challenge you anytime you hear a song to hear the desire behind it, because so many of these popular songs are full of a hunger and a yearning and a longing. Some of the songs I play for weddings, these love songs, they sound like worship songs, this desire for love. So I'm going to play you a little bit of the great rock band Queen. Find me somebody to love. Thank you. It's really fun to electrify my harp and send it through the amplifier. Ooh. So in music, we often find expressed the deepest desire, this open hunger and longing. Martin Luther would write that music is one of the greatest gifts because it can change the attitude we have in any situation or give voice to the feelings and attitudes we don't even recognize that we had. It's a very loose paraphrase of his quote. But to hear in it this yearning, not just for the beauty and the order and the love. So before I take questions, I want to play you one more great American song. This is from the Appalachian Mountains. What wondrous love is this? Oh, my soul, oh, my soul. Thank you. We wanted to be sure to open for questions. Jania warned me that you are very involved. So we want to, if you have any questions, raise your hand. Jania will bring you the microphone. Yes, I do have calluses on my fingers.
I want to introduce you to Kathy and his
Oh,
mother.
yes.
This is Kathy Hagen. And she's the one you will see about CDs afterwards. I wanted you to know who that lady was. And Mary.
Do the strings ever break?
Do the strings ever break?
And can you change them yourself, or do you need to get that done by someone else?
My water bottle just exploded on me. Do the strings ever break, and do I change them myself? Yes and yes. I was playing a wedding last Saturday, and I take the harp case off to find that this string here had snapped between home and the wedding venue in the car. So I quickly pull out the spare set of strings that I always keep in my bag and replaced it and played the wedding 5 minutes later, and it wasn't in tune, but that's okay. Thank you. I do replace all of the strings on my harp about once every 2 years. And that is one part that I can do myself. They often, these ones at the top especially, are very thin and fragile and subject to temperature changes. If they break, I can replace them. But all of the moving parts, the hidden mechanisms, those I take to a professional. I take it to the company, Lyon and Healy in Chicago, and I get them to do any adjustments on the inside.
Anna, I would love for you to tell people what you told me the other day when I was asking, I didn't quite phrase it like this, but what was that like spiritual connection, that deep resonance that people felt with the harp?
Yes. So you've probably heard the story of David soothing the soul of the king by playing gentle harp music. I overheard David say he had a smaller harp than this. Can you imagine hauling this after a herd of sheep? But there is a noticeable correlation between all different cultures have versions of a harp, and almost all of them associate it with heaven, with angelic qualities. And there's a theory in neuroscience, just a theory, but there's a theory that our brains pattern sounds and the actual sound shape of instruments with associations. So the violin, for example, the sound wave of a violin shares the most similar shape to the human voice. If you hear someone singing, it sounds like a violin, or a violin can sound like a human crying. Whereas the harp or the bell has the least in common in the sound wave shape with the human voice. It sounds like rocks and water. It sounds like the most opposite or other. It sounds ethereal because there's nothing in common in the wave, the shape of the actual sound wave, with the sounds that we make as humans. So that's an interesting, fun theory on why we all associate harps with heaven.
Hi, Anna.
Hi.
It's so nice to see
It's
you.
good to see you too.
Anna and I have known each other for 15 years, and I've never heard you play. I know Anna because we contra dance together. So Anna has musical qualities extraordinaire, and you can tell by her amazing smile and the emotion that she puts in her harp. She does in her dancing as well. Not a question.
Thank you. Thank you. Bring that joy to all things.
It's really wonderful to meet you, and it was lovely to hear you. I think I've heard you a few years ago, but it's been a long time.
I play in this area a lot, so I hope so.
Yeah. So you said you have 7 harps, and you only talked about this one because this is the one you brought. I was wondering if you could give us a little background about what the other 7 do.
Absolutely. So why do I have 7 harps? What's the difference, and why did that happen? I started on playing a Celtic harp, a folk harp that's about this big, and it looks like every Celtic symbol that you have ever seen on an Irish setting or a Guinness beer. It literally is that perfect shape. And it's a great harp for kids. It's also a great harp for folk music. It has, Celtic tradition. But it doesn't have the pedals. It only has strings. So it's great for what it is, but it's a little bit hard to play jazz. So after playing that harp for many years, I upgraded in pedals to this harp. This is a petite pedal harp. And with it, I can get all of those range of sounds, play rock, play jazz, play most classical music. And it's still small enough that I can carry it by myself. So this is pretty small, this harp. This is the small one, still. Then I have a great big pedal harp that's even taller than this. So it's called a full semi-grand pedal harp. My name for it is Eliana, which means the Lord has fulfilled his promises. And it's not only bigger, it gives me enough volume that I can play with the symphony, because when I play with the symphony, there are 5 trombones sitting behind me trying to blow me off the front of the stage. So I need all of the extra volume I can get. But that harp is so big, I have trouble getting it out my front door by myself. So that harp only goes to symphony. And then I mentioned my smaller harps that I wear on a strap like I wear a guitar. And I have 3 of those because they kept making better versions of it. So I have 3, and I rent sometimes my harps out. And then I have a second lever harp that I acquired recently that has a pickup in it, so I can run it through effects pedals and amplify it. So baby, medium, mama, papa.
First, I want to thank Kathy for letting her switch from piano to harp.
She heard the desires of my heart, and she believed me, which is amazing.
The other thing I want to ask, I mean, there are, 88 keys on a piano? How many strings on this harp?
Great question. So how many strings on the harp, and how does it compare to a piano? The strings on the harp are kind of like the white keys on a piano, so I don't need as many of them. So there are 40, hold on, I have to remember which harps I have. This one's 42 strings.
You can lie, we're not going to correct you.
This one's 42, and the full-size harp is 47. But for every string, I can get 3 tones. So this is flat, natural, and sharp, all on one string. So I can get all of the same notes, all of the same tones as you can get on a piano, just with fewer strings and more footwork.
Wow, thank you.
I think there was a question, yes.
Pardon my ignorance, I heard you say strings. So is it a string instrument or is it percussive?
Oh, you have opened the great debate. Is this a stringed instrument or a percussion instrument? Depending on when you pick in history, it has been classified as both. So technically, it's currently classified under strings because it has a lot of strings. But traditionally, strings were defined as things with a bow, not actually things with strings. So in orchestra designations, for a long time, the harp is classified with things like the marimba as a percussion instrument, or the piano, which is technically a percussion instrument, because you get the sound by hitting the string, not by bowing the string. Yes.
Yeah, the baby harp, how many strings? And I would think you'd be more limited in what you could play with a harp like that. But I'm sure it's also good for small people, children. And because I'm wondering about your really large one. Can you reach all of the strings? Are your arms long enough? Because being a short person, I know about the short arm thing, and I keep thinking, can she really reach all the way to the Sorry.
That is a great question. So, small harps for small people. The smaller harp has 24 strings. That's my smallest. And you can still get a lot of music out of that. Almost everything that I play, for example, in melody, easily fits within 24 strings. And I can even work in quite a bit of harmony. It's kind of like the difference between a violin and a bass. On this, I have violin all the way through bass. On that one, it's just like having a violin. But it's still like having an enormous amount of music. I can do almost everything I want to do with my small harp. Whether or not you should get a harp to your size, it's much more about the kind of music you want to play than about the size of the person playing it. My teacher was this tall, and she could rock out a full-size grand. So I have no trouble reaching a harp. Somebody I know harpists who are significantly shorter than I am, no problems at all. My other harp teacher is she's like 5, almost 6 foot, and she has no problems either. So here, when I play the harp, I pull it back. So it's not a problem. I've never had a problem. I will say the style of harp much more closely relates to the style of music. So small harps are designed for folk music, Celtic music, and to do other things on them, you have to work really hard. Whereas pedal harps, they have higher tension, louder volume, access to more semitones, so they're designed for orchestra music, and they're really fun to do jazz and rock on. So if your goal is to play that kind of music, I go for bigger harps. And depending on the kid's goal, if you want the kid to play folk music, start them on a small harp. If you want them to play classical music, you start on a pedal harp or on a larger lever harp that has the equivalent tension. And I've talked about Celtic music a lot. I haven't played you any yet, but Janelle did specially ask that I play you Celtic music before the service is over. So that's coming. I think we have time for maybe one more question, if anyone.
All right.
It's not about your heart, but I noticed how tired do your arms get, and your posture is incredible. So
You have hit on the question. So people often ask, do your fingers get sore? I'm like, not really. I can play for a long time. What wears out is my back, because I'm sitting without a back on my chair, holding my arms in front of me for hours on end. So my back wears out after about 3 hours. That's like the upper limit of playing without a longer rest. I often play for special events, background music for events, and as long as I can take stretch breaks, I can go for quite a long time. My back wears out before my fingers, so I just have to space. But posture is the thing. My teacher used to tell me, you sit up straight, and you put your wrists in and your elbows out, and you look like a chicken. Wonderful.
We have more from Anna, and I'll let her get to it.
I did want to play you one last, if I may, one more song. It's meditation. So we've been talking about this deep desire, the sort of hidden mechanism, the desires of our hearts. I'm going to play you a gorgeous Celtic tune. This is in the words of St. Columba, he did a meditation on the 23rd Psalm. The King of love, my shepherd is, and his goodness faileth never. And in it, you can hear this longing and the rest that is so characteristic of Celtic music. Enjoy the tunes of St. Columba.
one of our favorite hymns, but we've never sung it with the harp, I bet, till today. Spirit of Life, stand if you're willing and able to sing 123. Anna's going to play it through one time all the way, and then we will sing it twice. Okay? Stand and sing if you're willing. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in the heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots on me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me. Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Oh Lord, we recognize the deep hunger and longing, the desire within us for beauty, for truth, for order, for justice, for life, and for love. And we ask that we can recognize that desire in ourselves, and in our friends, and in the people that we meet all around us. And now go in peace and in joy and in thanksgiving to answer and find the answer to all of those desires. I'm going to play one more Celtic hymn to close us out today. So we're going to get a little toe tapping jigs. Sit, stand, However you are comfortable, if you want to hear one more Celtic hymn as the benediction. This is, of course, great. A little combo of some jigs with Be Thou My Vision. You. I'm sure they want me to remind you to stay and chat. My CDs are in the lobby, and we'll be hanging out and having refreshments in the gathering place through there. And if you want to ask more questions or come up and see the harp, I am happy to talk with you more. So thank you, everyone, so much for worshiping with us.